Can you identify a moment in your career that made the opportunities start to roll in much faster, like an audition or a festival or meeting the right manager?
What happened with me? I love my manager. I love my agent. But what happened with me is honestly, and I don't know where this came from, but there was a moment in my career, and I hope that this doesn't sound bad to the comics in here, or sound egotistical, but early in my career, I was just going to auditions and I'd see guys that I'd seen in movies and guys that I knew were touring headliners. And at that time I was a feature act and I would go in there and I don't feel like I would give my best because I would be so intimidated. I was going in for an audition and the comic that was also auditioning against me was in the waiting room. And I just seen him the night before in a movie and I was intimidated. And at some point, I just stopped that, man. I started thinking when I was going to auditions, which one of you guys is finishing second? Because I got this. And I started thinking like that when I was like, you want to talk science? We can talk science. You want to talk sports? We can talk sports. You want to talk traveling? I've been all over the world. You want to talk kids? I got those too. What do you want to do? Who's going to out-talk me? And that's how I started going to auditions. And when I initially, and this is a good lesson for failure and not letting it get you down, and how I ultimately ended up where I am now. I auditioned for and ultimately got a pretty coveted talk show spot. It was a show. It was going to be called The Happy Hour. They were going to cancel Days of Our Lives. I think was in its 27th year, and it was going to go off the air. And it was going to be on NBC. And I booked a talk show spot. It was me, Lisa Rinna from The Real Housewives, the singer Khalees, like My Milkshakes Bring that her, and the actor Scott Wolf. We were all booked, contract signed, ink dried, and I can tell you now, it was 15 grand a week. It was more money than I'd ever seen. And like you're just like, I'm just like, the money's already spent, Richie. In my head, I'm like, I'm gonna buy my mama a house, and then I'm gonna drive by my old middle school and be like, what's up now? Like all that. And they're telling my manager and agent, like, this is done. This is a done deal. And I'll never forget, Khalees was pregnant at the time. And so we were just auditioning to be ready to go once Days of Our Lives ended. And I was at a nightclub with some buddies of mine. And my ex-wife called, and she was just like, she called, it was like 1:00 in the morning. I told her I was going to be out, but I was like, why is she calling me? And she was like, she called me, she goes, have you checked your email? And I was like, that's a weird question. And I was like, no. And she was like, check your email and call me back. So I was like, that ain't good. I don't think it's season tickets to the Lakers in there. And I checked it, and just like, like you just read the first line and everything else is a blur. It just says, we regret to inform you, Days of Our Lives is going to continue. The happy hour is now discontinued, and blah, blah, blah. That was it. I got a phone call the next day like, hey, it's not happening. Sorry, we love you. We'll keep you in mind for the next project. And next thing you know, I'm back in Indianapolis at Crackers doing stand-up. And it was a huge letdown. It was huge just because, like, I had bonded with my co-host at the time. It was huge just because I felt like I couldn't do for my family, like my entire family, like I thought I was going to be able to. That, my dad, who's alive at the time, he would be able to see me every day on NBC. And it was deflating, man. It was just like, it was almost like telling a kid they're going to Disneyland and being like, oh, I meant I was going to show you a postcard of Disneyland. I never said we were going to go. Like just a cruel thing. But, I got back on the road and just toured, put it out of my mind. And 2 years later, one of the producers that was over that happy hour show got an opportunity to be the executive producer of this, this little talk show in Denver that was happening called Daily Blast Live. It was a pilot. It was going to be a live daytime talk show with 2 men, 2 women, but it's in Denver. We don't know how it's going to go. Maybe to go a year. But the thing is with daytime TV, because things like Days of Our Lives are entrenched, I think they said there's only been 2 new daytime shows since the year 2000, Dr. Phil and Ellen. Like everything else is just, Price is Right, like things that have just been on for 38 years. So I took the opportunity. I was like, the show's not going to go anywhere. It's daytime TV. But I was like, you know, for a year, I'll get off the road. I'll cook my own food, no hotels for a year, that kind of thing. And here I am. We're heading into season 4. The ratings are through the roof, and it's doing well. But it just goes to show you that the things you think are a home run, literally contracts signed, lawyers, signatures, you know, moving fees paid, everything, and it falls through. And this actually the invite for Daily Blast Live that I got from my manager, I initially had deleted it and it was in my trash because I was like, I was really kind of upset because I was like, I kind of, you know, I didn't say it to my manager but I was like, I'm not the comic. I'm not your client you send off to Denver because you don't want to deal with them. You know, like I'm staying right here in LA. And my ex-wife went in my trash, pulled it out, said, you're going to this dummy. And I did, and it changed my life. So everything is weird and unpredictable, but it makes me that much more appreciative of just like taking every opportunity because, you know, you think that you have to be given this platform like, well, I need to be the host of the Today Show. Well, Joe Rogan started a podcast in his basement, and it's bigger than the Today Show will ever be. So the platform needs you. It's not the other way around. So it's your personality that's going to sell this thing.